I found out my fiancé lied about his bachelor trip when his phone's location showed it was outside my best friend's house. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes, refreshing. The blue dot didn't move. Austin said he was in Vegas with the guys. Final weekend of freedom, he'd joked while kissing me goodbye. Melissa texted that morning about being sick with food poisoning. Too weak to leave bed, she'd said. I called Austin, straight to voicemail. The blue dot stayed exactly where it was, right outside her apartment on Riverside Drive. I sat in my car for 40 minutes just staring. Then I drove there. His truck was parked 2 spaces from her door. I recognized the dent on the bumper. I had a key from when I'd watered her plants last year. I'd never used it without permission. The door opened quietly. I heard laughter from the bedroom. Austin's laugh, the one he saved for when he was genuinely happy. I pushed open the bedroom door. They didn't notice me at first, too busy wrapped around each other in her sheets. Austin saw me first. His face went white. Melissa sat up, clutching the blanket. Nobody spoke. The silence stretched so long I could hear the refrigerator humming. This isn't what it looks like, Austin finally said. I actually laughed. What does it look like? My voice sounded like someone else's. How long? I asked Melissa. She wouldn't meet my eyes. 2 months, Austin said. It didn't mean anything. 2 months, while I'd been addressing wedding invitations, while I'd been planning our entire future. I pulled off my engagement ring and set it on her dresser. Keep it, I said. Apparently you two like sharing my things. Wait, Austin stood up. Please don't do this. I love you. You don't cheat on people you love, I said. I walked out, made it to my car before the shaking started. My phone buzzed. Austin calling, then Melissa. I blocked them both. The wedding was in 4 weeks. 200 guests. Non-refundable deposits. I drove to my sister's house. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. What are you going to do? I thought about how Melissa was supposed to be my maid of honor, how she'd thrown my bridal shower 5 days ago, smiling and hugging me while knowing. I need to cancel everything, I said. My sister handed me my phone, maybe wait until morning, but I couldn't wait. I started with the venue, then the caterer, the photographer. Each call made it more real. Around midnight, my phone rang from an unknown number. It's me, Austin's voice. He must have borrowed someone's phone. Don't hang up. There's nothing to talk about. I made one mistake. Don't throw away our whole future. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You had an affair with my best friend. You planned your bachelor weekend with her. That's not one mistake. He was quiet. Then, if you cancel the wedding, everyone's going to ask why. Your parents will find out. My parents. There it was. He wasn't sorry. He was worried about being embarrassed. Good, I said. I hope they all find out exactly what kind of person you are. I hung up and blocked that number too. My phone buzzed again. A message from Melissa. Please talk to me. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened and we couldn't stop. Couldn't stop. Like they were victims instead of 2 people who made a choice every time they lied to my face. I opened my photos. Scrolled through months of pictures. Austin and me. Melissa and me. I stopped on a photo from 6 weeks ago. My birthday dinner. Austin had his arm around me while I blew out candles. Melissa was laughing in the background, phone in her hand. I'd never thought about it before. Why would I? I zoomed in on her screen. She was texting someone. I could just barely make out the name at the top. My stomach dropped. Because there, clearly visible in the photo I'd posted on Instagram, was proof they'd been texting during my birthday while sitting at the same table. I'd been so focused on my cake, I'd never noticed, but now I did. And now I saw everything I'd missed. I started scrolling back further, looking at every group photo with new eyes. There was the engagement party where they stood on opposite sides of the room. I'd thought they just didn't know each other well. Now I saw them stealing glances when they thought no one was watching. There was the wine tasting trip. Austin had his hand on the small of Melissa's back in one shot. I'd assumed he was steadying her on the uneven ground. My friend Rachel had taken that photo. She'd probably thought nothing of it either. I kept going, back to Christmas. The ugly sweater party at my parents' house. Austin and Melissa were both missing from photos for about 40 minutes that night. I remembered looking for them. Mom had said Austin went to get more ice. My sister said she saw Melissa taking a call outside. They came back separately, 5 minutes apart. I never connected it. My sister walked into the room with tea. You okay? I showed her the birthday photo, watched her face change as she understood. Oh my, she whispered. How long have you been looking through these? About an hour. My voice sounded hollow. I think it's been longer than 2 months. I think it's been going on since at least Christmas. She sat next to me. What are you going to do? I thought about it. What was I going to do? Expose them to everyone? Tell our friends? Blast them on social media? The thought was tempting. But then I realized something. They were already exposed. They'd exposed themselves by being so careless, by texting at my birthday party, by disappearing at Christmas, by lying about a bachelor trip when location sharing was still on. I'm going to let them do it themselves, I said. My sister frowned. What do you mean? I opened my laptop, created a new folder, started saving every photo where something seemed off. The engagement party, the wine tasting, Christmas, my birthday, the bridal shower where Melissa had given a speech about true love and trust. I recorded the speech. She'd posted it on her Instagram story. I saved it. Then I drafted an email, not to them, to our wedding party. Subject line, wedding update. Dear friends and family, I regret to inform you that the wedding has been called off. The venue, caterer, and other vendors have been notified. If you've purchased travel or accommodations, I apologize for any inconvenience. The reason for this cancellation is that I discovered my fiancé has been having an affair with my maid of honor for several months. I found out when his location showed he was at her apartment during what was supposed to be his bachelor trip to Vegas. I will not be answering questions about this. The decision is final. Thank you for your understanding. I showed my sister. She read it twice. Are you sure? Very. I hit send before I could change my mind. My phone started ringing immediately. I turned it off. My sister's phone started ringing. She silenced it. We sat in the quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You know Austin's parents are going to call your parents." "I know. And your parents are going to call you. Probably. And Melissa's going to lose her mind." "Definitely." I smiled. It felt strange on my face. Good. The next morning, I woke up to 89 missed calls and 200 plus text messages. I deleted them all without reading. Made coffee. My sister was already up, looking at her phone with wide eyes. "This is insane," she said. "What?" "Check Instagram." I opened the app. My post from last night, a photo of my dress with the caption, "Can't wait to marry my best friend," had 500 comments. Most were recent. Most said some variation of, "Oh my God, I just got the email." Some said, "I'm so sorry this happened to you." A few said, "Austin and Melissa are awful." But the best ones were from Austin's friends, his groomsmen. "Dude lied to us about Vegas," one wrote. "We thought he was working. He ghosted the whole trip." Another, "This explains why he was being so weird about the group chat." A third, "Man, that's messed up. We had no idea. Austin had lied to everyone, not just me. He'd told his friends he couldn't make Vegas because of work, told me he was going to Vegas with them, and spent the weekend with Melissa instead." The betrayal had layers. Melissa's Instagram was private now, but screenshots were already circulating. Someone had saved her maid of honor speech from my bridal shower, the one about trust and friendship, about how lucky I was to have found true love. Someone else had posted a photo of Melissa and Austin from my birthday party circled in red. They were texting each other at her birthday. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt tired. I turned off my phone again. My sister made breakfast. We ate in silence. Around noon, someone knocked on the door. My sister looked through the peephole. "It's your mom." I let her in. Mom looked like she'd been crying. "Honey," she said, pulling me into a hug. "I'm so sorry. I can't believe Austin would do this." "Me neither. And Melissa. I always thought she was such a good friend." "No, so did I." Mom pulled back. "What do you need? What can I do?" "Nothing," I said. "I'm okay." "You're not okay. Your wedding just fell apart." "I know, but I will be okay." She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, but I'm here if you need anything." After she left, my sister's phone rang. She looked at the screen. "It's Rachel." She put it on speaker. "Hey, is she there?" Rachel's voice. "Can I talk to her?" My sister looked at me. I nodded. "I'm here," I said. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," Rachel said. "And I'm pissed. Melissa called me this morning. She's claiming you're overreacting, that it was just a kiss, that you're ruining her life by telling everyone." I actually laughed. "Just a kiss." That's what she said. But I saw the email. "You caught them at her apartment during his bachelor weekend. That's not just a kiss." "No," I agreed. "It's not. She's also saying Austin wants to work things out, that you won't answer his calls." I blocked him. "Good," Rachel said firmly. "He doesn't deserve to talk to you. Neither does she. I'm done with both of them." "Thanks," I said. "For real, I know she's been your friend too." "Was my friend," Rachel corrected. "Anyone who does this isn't a real friend to anyone." We hung up. My sister looked at me. "How are you really doing?" I thought about it. "Honestly, I feel lighter, like I dodged something. A bullet? A grenade." That night, Austin showed up at my sister's house. She wouldn't let him in. He stood outside, calling my name. I watched from the upstairs window. He looked devastated, hair messy, eyes red. After 20 minutes, a police car pulled up. My sister had called them for trespassing. Austin left. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. The next week was a blur. Canceling vendors, returning gifts, dealing with paperwork. Our joint bank account had $18,000 for wedding expenses. I transferred half to a new account and closed the joint one. Austin's half sat in limbo until he could claim it. The apartment lease was trickier. Both our names. 6 months left. I contacted the landlord, explained the situation. He was sympathetic but firm. "You both signed. You're both responsible." I found a sublet through a friend of my sister. Moved my stuff out over a weekend while Austin was at work. Left his stuff exactly where it was. Left my key on the counter. I was done. 2 weeks after the email, Melissa tried a different approach. She showed up at my work, waited in the parking lot until my shift ended. I saw her car and kept walking. She got out. "Please," she called. "Just talk to me." I turned. "There's nothing to say." "I'm sorry," she said, tears on her face. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "You never meant to get caught," I corrected. "That's different." "I was confused," she tried. "Austin was there for me during my divorce and things just happened." "My fiancé was there for you during your divorce because I asked him to be," I said slowly. "I felt bad for you. I wanted you to have support. And you repaid that by sleeping with him. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. "That's what I thought," I said. I got in my car and drove away. A month passed. Then 2. The anger faded. The hurt remained, but it changed. Became something I could carry instead of something that crushed me. I moved into a small studio apartment. Started therapy. Began rebuilding. One night, Rachel called. "You need to hear this." "What?" "Melissa and Austin broke up." I waited. Apparently, it fell apart fast. Once they couldn't sneak around anymore. Once it was out in the open, they realized they had nothing in common. Melissa told Austin she felt smothered. Austin told Melissa she was too clingy. They lasted exactly 5 weeks after you found out. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just nothing. "Okay," I said. "That's it?" Rachel sounded disappointed. "That's it. You're not happy?" "I'm not anything," I admitted. "They're not my problem anymore." But they became my problem again when Austin started calling from new numbers, leaving voicemails. "I made a mistake. I miss you. Can we talk?" Then, "Melissa meant nothing. It was just physical." Then, "You gave up too easily. We could have worked through this." Then finally, "You're being immature." Everyone makes mistakes. I saved the voicemails, sent them to my lawyer, filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it. Austin was ordered to stay 500 feet away. No contact. The look on his face in court almost made up for everything. Almost. Melissa tried one more time, sent a letter to my new address. I don't know how she got it. The letter was 8 pages, handwritten, single-spaced. It detailed her version of events, how Austin pursued her, how she resisted at first, how they fell in love, how I was never right for him, how she regretted hurting me but didn't regret loving, how they were meant to be together, how I was standing in the way of true love. I read it once, then burned it in my kitchen sink, took a photo of the ashes, almost sent it to her, decided she wasn't worth the effort. 6 months after the canceled wedding, I ran into one of Austin's groomsmen at a coffee shop. Colton. We'd always gotten along. He saw me and hesitated, then walked over. Hey, he said. Hey, how are you doing? Better, I said honestly. Good. He shifted his weight. Listen, I wanted to apologize. We should have known something was off, the way Austin was acting. We should have said something. It's not your fault, I told him. You didn't know. Still, he said. For what it's worth, none of us talked to him anymore. After we found out he lied about Vegas, about everything, we were done. I appreciate that. We stood there awkwardly. Then Colton said, "Can I buy you a coffee?" I almost said no. Then I looked at him. Really looked. He had kind eyes. Honest eyes. Sure, I said. Why not? We talked for 2 hours. About nothing important. Movies, books, work. It felt normal. Easy. When we left, he asked for my number. I gave it to him. He texted that night. We made plans for dinner. On our 3rd date, I told him everything. About finding Austin at Melissa's. About the photos. About the voicemails and the restraining order. Colton listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Austin's an idiot. Pretty much. You deserve better." I know. We dated for 4 months before I met someone else. A colleague at work. Nina. She was smart and funny and had no connection to my past. Colton and I stayed friends. Sometimes I wondered if I jumped into dating too fast, but mostly I just felt grateful to be moving forward. A year after the canceled wedding, I got a Facebook message from Austin's mother. "I owe you an apology," it read. "I didn't believe you at first. I thought you must have done something to drive Austin to Melissa. I was wrong. Austin has been through 4 relationships since you. Each one ended because he cheated. I realize now that's who he is. I'm sorry for not believing you. I'm sorry for raising a son who could do this to you." I read it several times. Typed a response. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Finally settled on, "Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate the apology." She replied immediately. "He asks about you sometimes. If I've heard how you're doing, what do you tell him? That you're doing well, that you've moved on, that he needs to do the same. Thank you," I typed. And I meant it. Melissa's life imploded differently. She lost most of her friends after the affair came out, got fired from her job after she had a breakdown in a meeting and screamed at her boss, moved back in with her parents, started posting cryptic quotes on Instagram about betrayal and fake friends. I blocked her so I wouldn't be tempted to look, but Rachel kept me updated. Couldn't help herself. "She's claiming she's the victim now," Rachel reported. "Says you turned everyone against her." I sent one email, I said. One truthful email. "She's also saying Austin used her, that he promised to leave you for her and then didn't. He did leave me. They were together for 5 weeks. Yeah, but apparently that's not what she meant. She wanted him to leave you before you found out. Wanted him to choose her properly." I shook my head. The delusion was impressive. "She's also in therapy now," Rachel continued. "Posted about it on Instagram. Says she's healing from toxic people. Good for her," I said, meaning it. "Everyone needs therapy." She tagged you in the post. I'm blocked. She unblocked you to tag you, then blocked you again. That's unhinged. Very, Rachel agreed. Want me to send screenshots? Absolutely not. 2 years after everything fell apart, I married Nina. Small ceremony. Immediate family only. No bridesmaids. No groomsmen. Just us and the people who mattered. My sister was there. My parents. Nina's parents. Rachel came. So did Colton, who'd become one of my closest friends. At the reception, my mom pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," she said. "For what? For knowing your worth, for not taking Austin back when he begged, for building a new life." "Thanks, Mom." She squeezed my hand. "I know it wasn't easy, but look at you now. You're happy." I was. Genuinely, completely happy. That night, lying in bed next to Nina, I thought about Austin, about Melissa, about everything that happened, and I realized I didn't feel anything anymore. No anger, no hurt. They were just people I used to know, people who made bad choices, people who taught me what I wouldn't accept. I never saw Austin again. Heard through mutual acquaintances that he moved to another state, got engaged again, called it off, got engaged a 3rd time. I didn't keep track after that. Melissa eventually moved away too. Last I heard, she was working at a call center and dating someone she met online. Sometimes people ask if I regret how I handled it. The email, the public announcement. I don't. They made their choices in public, at my birthday party, at my bridal shower, during my wedding planning. They deserved public consequences. The photos from my phone, the ones where they thought they were being sneaky, I kept them. Not to look at, not to remind myself of the betrayal, but as proof that I wasn't crazy, that my instincts were right, that when something felt off, it probably was. My wedding ring from Austin, the one I left on Melissa's dresser, apparently sat there for months. Melissa told Rachel she couldn't decide what to do with it. Felt wrong to keep it. Felt wrong to throw it away. Eventually, she pawned it. Got $400. Spent it on therapy. I laughed when I heard that. The ring cost $8,000. But I guess that's fitting. She got exactly what the relationship was worth, a fraction of its supposed value, a reminder that stolen things never hold their true worth. 3 years after the canceled wedding, I was promoted at work. Nina and I bought a house. We talked about starting a family. My life was full in ways I never imagined when I was planning a wedding to Austin. Better ways. Authentic ways. One night, scrolling through old photos to clear storage on my phone, I found one I'd forgotten about. Austin and me on the night he proposed. We were on a beach at sunset. He was on one knee. I was crying happy tears. We looked so in love. I studied the photo, tried to remember how that felt. The excitement, the certainty that this was forever. I couldn't access it anymore. That person felt like a stranger. I deleted the photo, didn't even hesitate. Nina walked into the room. What are you doing? Deleting old photos. Need help? No, I said, putting my phone down. I'm done. And I was. Done with that version of my life. Done with the what ifs and the might have beens. Done looking back at something that was never real to begin with. Because that's what I finally understood. What Austin and I had wasn't real love. Real love doesn't hedge its bets. Doesn't keep backups. Doesn't lie about bachelor trips. Real love shows up, tells the truth, chooses you every single day. And I had that now with Nina. Had it with my family, my real friends, the life I'd built from the ruins of that canceled wedding. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is having your worst fears confirmed. Because then you stop wondering, stop second guessing, stop trying to make something work that was broken from the start. You just walk away and build something better. And I did. The first year after everything exploded was harder than I let people see. I'd wake up at 2 a.m., heart pounding, replaying every moment, every sign I'd missed. Every time I defended Austin when my gut said something was wrong. Like the time Rachel mentioned she saw Austin having lunch with a woman, I'd laughed it off. Probably a colleague, I'd said. Now I knew it was Melissa. Or the time my sister asked why Austin was suddenly so interested in Melissa's divorce proceedings. He's just being supportive, I'd explained. I'd been so wrong. The therapy helped. Dr. Walsh specialized in betrayal trauma. She helped me understand that trusting people wasn't my mistake. Their lies were their choice. I didn't cause this by being trusting. I survived it by being strong. We worked through the photos in our sessions. Not just the ones of Austin and Melissa, but the ones of me during that time. I looked happy in most of them. Genuinely happy. You weren't living a lie, Dr. Walsh said during one session. You were living your truth. They were living the lie. That distinction mattered. I started to forgive myself for not knowing, for not seeing, for planning a wedding to someone who didn't deserve me. Because how could I have known? I wasn't looking for betrayal. I was looking forward to a future. The holidays that first year were brutal. Mom invited me to Thanksgiving, said Austin's family wouldn't be there. I went anyway. Sat at the table where we'd announced our engagement the year before. My cousin asked how I was doing. Better than I was, I said. Worse than I will be. Christmas was harder. I'd bought Austin gifts before everything fell apart. They sat in my closet for months. Finally, I donated them, kept the receipts for my records. One was a watch. Engraved on the back, all my time is yours. The irony wasn't lost on me. He'd been giving his time to Melissa. New Year's Eve, I stayed home, watched the ball drop alone, made exactly one resolution: stop checking Austin's social media. I'd been doing it compulsively, seeing his posts, his new girlfriend, his fake happiness. It was poison. I blocked him on everything, for real this time. No loopholes, no fake accounts to check, just gone. January brought clarity. I started running. Not because I loved it, but because I needed to do something hard, something that hurt in a way I could control. Every morning, 5 a.m., I'd run 5 miles. My lungs would burn, my legs would ache, but I'd finish. And finishing felt like winning. February, I went on my first date since Austin. A guy from my gym. He was nice. Boring, but nice. We had dinner. He talked about his job in insurance for 40 minutes straight. I nodded and smiled and knew I'd never see him again. But I'd done it. I'd put myself out there. March brought the first real breakthrough. I went a whole day without thinking about Austin or Melissa. Not once. I realized it that night, getting ready for bed. An entire day. It felt monumental. April. My lease was up on the studio apartment. I found a one-bedroom, nicer neighborhood, better light. I painted the walls myself, chose colors Austin would have hated. Teal in the kitchen, deep purple in the bedroom, gold in the bathroom. It was my space. Completely mine. May, I ran a 10K. Finished in the middle of the pack. Nothing impressive, but I trained for it. Completed it. Proved to myself I could set a goal and achieve it. Rachel ran with me. Took a photo at the finish line. I was sweaty and red-faced and smiling. Really smiling. June marked 1 year since I'd found them. I spent the day doing things I loved. Went to the art museum, had lunch at my favorite cafe, bought myself flowers. Melissa had posted something that day. A quote about growth and moving forward. I saw the notification before I remembered I'd blocked her. She tagged me again from a new account. I blocked that one too. Didn't read the quote. July. I met Nina. She was new at work, transferred from the Seattle office. We ended up in the break room at the same time. She made a joke about the terrible coffee. I laughed. We started talking. Found out we both loved the same obscure podcast. She asked if I wanted to grab lunch sometime. I said yes. Our first lunch lasted 2 hours. We talked about everything except my past. She didn't know about Austin, didn't know about the canceled wedding. I was just me, not the girl who got cheated on, not the woman with the dramatic story, just me. We started having lunch twice a week, then every day, then dinners, then weekend hikes. I told her about Austin after our 4th date, gave her the short version. He cheated with my best friend. I found out right before the wedding, called it off. She nodded, didn't press for details, just said, that must have been hard. It was, I agreed, but I'm better now. And I meant it. I was better. Not perfect, not healed completely, but better. Nina and I took things slow. Neither of us wanted to rush. We'd both been hurt before. Her ex had been emotionally abusive. Took years for her to leave. We understood each other's hesitations, respected each other's boundaries, built trust slowly. August. Austin's mother called again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? I wanted to tell you something, she said. No preamble. Austin got someone pregnant. They're getting married next month. Courthouse wedding. Very small. I didn't know what to say. Okay. I thought you should know, in case you heard from someone else. Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, she said, for all of it, for him, for how this all happened. It's not your fault, I told her, and I meant it. When we hung up, I told Nina. She wrapped her arms around me. How do you feel? She asked. Relieved, I said, surprised myself by meaning it. I'm so glad that's not my life. September, Austin's baby was born. A girl. I saw the birth announcement on Facebook before I blocked his mother too. Not out of anger, just out of finality. I didn't need updates on his life anymore. Didn't need to know if he was happy or miserable. He was just someone I used to know. October brought the first panic attack. Random. Unprovoked. I was at the grocery store. Turned down the cereal aisle. Saw the brand Austin always bought. Suddenly couldn't breathe. Heart racing. Vision tunneling. Nina found me sitting on the floor, shaking. We left the cart. Went home. She held me while I cried. Not for Austin. For the time I'd lost. The version of myself who'd believed in forever. The innocence I'd never get back. Dr. Walsh called it a processing moment. Said they'd get less frequent. She was right. November, Melissa tried one last time, showed up at my parents' house on Thanksgiving, asked to talk to me. My father answered the door, told her to leave. She refused, started crying, saying she needed closure. Dad called the police. They escorted her off the property, gave her a warning about trespassing. My mother was furious. The audacity, she kept saying. After everything, I felt nothing. Melissa was stuck in the past, still trying to rewrite history, still trying to make herself the victim. I'd moved on. She hadn't. December, Nina asked me to move in with her. I said yes. We found a house together. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, small yard, old hardwood floors that creaked. It needed work. We didn't care. It was ours. We spent Christmas painting, arguing about colors, laughing at our terrible technique. Her family came over for New Year's. They welcomed me like I'd always been there. No questions about my past. No awkward silences. Just acceptance. Year 2 was easier. The wound had scabbed over. Still tender if I poked it, but no longer bleeding. I thought about Austin less. Stopped comparing every man to him. Stopped waiting for Nina to betray me. Trust came slowly, but it came. In February, I deleted all the screenshots. The photos I'd saved as evidence, the text messages, the emails, cleared them from my phone, my computer, my cloud storage. Didn't need them anymore. Wasn't waiting for a trial. Wasn't building a case. Just letting go. March, I ran into Colton at a wedding. He'd brought a date. We hugged, talked for a bit. He seemed happy, really happy. We'd stayed friends after we stopped dating. No weirdness. No hard feelings. Just 2 people who tried something and realized friendship fit better. He pulled me aside before leaving. I never thanked you, he said. For what? For showing me what it looks like when someone chooses themselves. When I started dating again, I remembered how you walked away from Austin. Didn't try to fix it, didn't make excuses, just left. That stuck with me. I'm glad, I said. You deserved better too. He smiled. Introduced me to his date. She was lovely. Kind eyes. Easy laugh. I could see why he liked her. April brought news from Rachel. Melissa's engaged, she texted. To who? Some guy she met at work. They've been dating 6 months. Getting married in July. Good for her, I typed back. Meant it. Everyone deserved a chance at happiness. Even people who'd hurt me. May, Nina proposed. We were hiking. Same trail we'd gone on for our first date. She got down on one knee at the overlook. Had this whole speech planned about futures and choices and forever. I said yes before she finished. We kissed while hikers clapped. It was perfect. Simple. Ours. We set the date for October. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. No big production. No stress. Just celebration. Planning this wedding felt completely different. No anxiety. No second guessing. Just joy. June. Austin sent a letter to my parents' house. Asked them to forward it to me. They called first. Do you want it? Dad asked. What does it say? Haven't opened it? Not our place. I thought about it. Throw it away. You sure? Very sure. July, Melissa got married. I saw photos online. She looked happy. Her dress was beautiful. Part of me wondered if she thought about me that day. About the wedding she'd helped ruin. Probably not. People like Melissa rewrote history to suit their narratives. August, I got promoted again. Department manager. It came with a raise and a corner office and actual responsibility. I'd worked hard for it. Earned it through competence, not politics. My boss pulled me aside after the announcement. You've really come into your own this past year, she said. I had. Professionally, personally, completely. September, Nina and I picked out rings. Simple bands. White gold, no diamonds. We didn't need flashy. We needed forever. The jeweler asked how long we'd been together. Officially 14 months, Nina said. But it feels longer. In a good way, I added. The jeweler smiled. That's how you know it's right. October arrived with clear skies and perfect weather. Our wedding day. I woke up calm. No nerves. No doubts. Got dressed at my parents' house. My sister helped with my hair. Mom cried happy tears. Different tears than she'd cried the last time. These were real. At the ceremony, looking at Nina, I felt only peace. This was right. She was right. We were right. No location sharing needed. No checking her phone. No wondering if she was where she said she'd be. Just trust. Real trust. The kind you can't fake. Our vows were simple. Honest. We promised to tell the truth. To show up. To choose each other. Every day. No matter what. When we kissed, I felt the past finally release me. I wasn't the girl who got cheated on anymore. I was a woman who chose happiness, who chose herself, who chose better. At the reception, my sister gave a toast. To second chances, she said. To new beginnings. To knowing your worth. Everyone drank. I looked around the room. Every person there loved me, really loved me. Not the idea of me, not what I could give them, just me. Later, dancing with Nina, she whispered, "Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for asking. I'll ask every day if you want. Maybe just Tuesdays." I joked. She laughed, spun me around. The music swelled. And I thought about how different this moment was from what I'd imagined all those years ago. Better. So much better. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Portugal. We ate too much, drank wine at sunset, explored tiny villages, made love in hotels with windows open to the ocean, came back tanned and happy and more in love. Real life resumed with surprising ease. We fell into rhythms. Morning coffee together, evenings cooking dinner, weekends hiking or reading or doing nothing. It was ordinary. Beautifully, perfectly ordinary. 3 years after the canceled wedding, Nina and I started talking about kids. Not seriously at first, just wondering out loud. What if? Maybe? Someday? Then someday became a timeline, a plan, appointments with fertility specialists, decisions about donors, logistics. The process was harder than expected. More expensive, more emotional, but we did it together. Every appointment, every decision, every disappointment when it didn't work, every moment of hope when it might. I thought about Austin once during those months, wondered if he and his wife had more kids, if he was happy, if he ever thought about me. Then I stopped wondering. It didn't matter. His life wasn't mine, his choices weren't mine, his happiness wasn't connected to mine. 4 years after everything fell apart, I was truly free, not just moved on, free. The past was the past. Austin was a story I sometimes told at parties when someone asked about bad relationships. Melissa was a cautionary tale about choosing friends wisely. They were footnotes, not chapters. Nina got pregnant on our 4th try. We cried in the doctor's office when we saw the heartbeat, held hands in the waiting room, texted our families. This was it. Our family. The one we chose. The one we built. The pregnancy was smooth. We painted the nursery yellow, argued about names, settled on Sophie if it was a girl, Graham if it was a boy, found out at 20 weeks. A girl. Sophie it was. My baby shower was small. My sister hosted. Rachel came. Colton sent a gift. Nina's family flew in. We played games, ate cake, opened presents. No drama, no hidden agendas, just people who loved us celebrating our joy. Sophie arrived 2 weeks early. Labor was 18 hours. Brutal. Beautiful. Worth every second. When they placed her on my chest, I understood finally what unconditional love felt like. This tiny person. So new, so perfect, so completely mine and Nina's. Austin texted congratulations. Someone must have told him. I didn't ask who, didn't respond, just deleted the message. Nina saw me do it. You okay? She asked. Perfect, I said. Meant it. The first year with Sophie was exhausting, wonderful, challenging. Nina and I took turns with night feedings, fought about sleep schedules, laughed at how clueless we were, figured it out together, always together. On Sophie's first birthday, we had a party in our backyard, family and friends, cake everywhere, baby giggles. I watched Nina help Sophie smash her cake, saw the joy on both their faces, felt my heart so full it might burst. My sister pulled me aside. You know what I realized? She said. What? If Austin hadn't cheated, none of this would exist. Sophie wouldn't exist. This life wouldn't exist. I looked at my daughter, my wife, my home. She was right. I'm glad he cheated, I said. God, that sounds terrible. But true, my sister said. But true, I agreed. 5 years after I found that blue dot on my screen, I could say with absolute certainty, it was the best worst thing that ever happened. It destroyed a future that was wrong, made room for one that was right, taught me that betrayal isn't the end. It's just information. What you do with it determines who you become. I became someone stronger, happier, more whole. Someone who knew her worth, who demanded honesty, who chose herself. And from that foundation, I built something real. Melissa and her husband divorced after 2 years. I heard through Rachel. Apparently he cheated. The irony was almost funny. Almost. She moved again, cut ties with everyone from our old friend group, started over somewhere new. Austin was on marriage number 3 now. Or maybe 4. I'd lost track. His life seemed chaotic from the outside. Messy. Complicated. I felt sorry for whoever was currently in it, but not sorry enough to care. My life was simple. Nina, Sophie, work, family, friends. We talked about having another baby, maybe in a year or 2. Wanted Sophie to be old enough to understand, to welcome a sibling, to be part of the decision. Everything I had, I'd built from ruins. From that moment when my world imploded and I had to choose, stay in the wreckage or rebuild. I chose to rebuild, chose it every day, with every decision, every boundary, every time I said no to less than I deserved. And now, sitting on my back porch, watching Nina push Sophie on the swing, I could see the whole arc, the betrayal, the pain, the healing, the joy, all of it necessary, all of it leading here, to this moment, this life, this love, this version of myself who knew that true love doesn't come from convincing someone to choose you. It comes from choosing yourself first, from knowing your worth, from walking away when something doesn't serve you. The end came not with dramatic closure, but with quiet contentment. Austin and Melissa became people I used to know, characters in a story that shaped me but didn't define me. I didn't forgive them, didn't need to, just released them from taking up space in my head. Sometimes people ask if I ever wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed, if I'd tried to work it out, given Austin another chance. The answer is simple, no. Because I know exactly what would have happened. More lies, more betrayal, more of me shrinking to accommodate someone who didn't value me. Instead, I chose different. Chose better. Chose Nina and Sophie and this beautiful, messy, perfectly imperfect life. And every single day, I'm grateful for that blue dot on my screen, for seeing the truth, for having the courage to act on it. Because the truth, as painful as it was, set me free. And freedom brought me home. To myself, to my family, to exactly where I was always meant to be. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The path from that moment in Melissa's apartment to here wasn't just about moving forward. It was about understanding what I'd survived, about processing layers of betrayal I didn't even recognize at first. There was the obvious betrayal, Austin sleeping with Melissa, lying about Vegas, planning a weekend with her while I addressed invitations. That part was clear, black and white, undeniable. Then there were the smaller betrayals I discovered later, like how Austin had complained to Melissa about me, about my family, about our relationship, things he'd never mentioned to me, issues I didn't know we had. Melissa told Rachel who told me. He said you were boring in bed, Rachel had whispered, looking uncomfortable. Said you never wanted to try new things. I'd laughed, not because it was funny, because it was such an obvious lie. Austin had never asked to try anything new, never initiated anything different, but he'd needed to justify the affair. Needed Melissa to think there was a reason, something missing, something I wasn't providing. There were the financial betrayals too. The joint account he'd drained for a weekend getaway with Melissa while I thought he was working overtime. $2,400 from our wedding fund. Gone. He'd moved it back before I noticed. Covered his tracks. But the bank statements didn't lie. And the emotional betrayals. The times he'd consoled me about Melissa's divorce. Held me while I cried for her pain. Promised we'd always be there for her. He'd been there for her. Just not in the way I'd meant. Dr. Walsh helped me catalog it all. Not to stay angry, but to understand the full scope. Betrayal isn't one event, she explained. It's 1,000 small deceptions. Each one a choice to prioritize themselves over your well-being. Austin had made that choice over and over. For months. Maybe longer. The friends who knew hurt in a different way. There were 4. 2 of his buddies from college. 2 of our couple friends. They'd known something was going on. Seen Austin and Melissa together. Suspected. Said nothing. One of them, Gregory, apologized 6 months after everything came out. I should have told you, he said. We'd run into each other at a coffee shop. He looked miserable. I saw them at a restaurant. Austin said it was just dinner. Said they were talking about you, planning something for your birthday. I wanted to believe him. Why didn't you tell me anyway? I asked. Not angry. Genuinely curious. Because I thought if I was wrong, I'd ruin your relationship for nothing. And if I was right, I'd ruin your relationship for something. Either way, you'd hate me for it. So you chose to protect yourself, I said. He nodded. I'm sorry. I thought about it. You know what's worse than finding out your fiancé cheated? Finding out people knew and said nothing. Finding out you were the last to know. That people pitied you while pretending everything was fine. I know, Gregory said quietly. I know. No, I said. You don't. Because it didn't happen to you. I never spoke to him again. Or the others who knew. Cut them all out. If they could watch me plan a wedding to someone they knew was unfaithful, they weren't friends. They were cowards. The wedding vendors were surprisingly kind. The venue manager refunded 50% even though the contract said no refunds. I've been in this business 20 years, she said. I can tell who's getting married for the right reasons. You were. He wasn't. I'm sorry. The caterer refunded everything. Can't in good conscience keep money for a wedding that won't happen because the groom's a cheat, he said. Shook his head. My daughter went through something similar. Broke my heart. The photographer was different. Kept the deposit. $500. Contract's a contract, she said. No sympathy, no flexibility. I wrote a review explaining what happened. She threatened to sue. I pointed out truth as a defense. She backed down. Kept the money anyway. Small injustices like that stung. I was the victim here. But I still lost money. Still had to explain to my boss why I needed time off for a wedding that wasn't happening. Still had to see pity in people's eyes when they asked how I was doing. The hardest part was the shame. I hadn't done anything wrong. Logically, I knew that. But shame isn't logical. It whispers that you should have known, should have seen it, should have been enough. I fought that voice every day. Some days I won, other days it won. Dr. Walsh said that was normal. Healing isn't linear. She reminded me constantly. You'll have good days and bad days. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. The good days increased slowly. 1 month after, I had maybe 2 good days a week. 2 months, 3 or 4. 6 months more good than bad. A year, mostly good with occasional bad. 2 years, bad days were rare, surprising, brief. Work saved me in those early months. I threw myself into it, volunteered for extra projects, worked late, came in early. My boss noticed. You okay? She asked once. Just keeping busy. There's busy and there's avoiding, she said gently. Make sure you're not running from something you need to face. She was right. I was running. But sometimes you need to run for a while before you can stand still, before you can face what's chasing you. I ran for 6 months. Then slowly, carefully, I stopped, turned around, looked at what I'd been fleeing. The grief was enormous. Not for Austin. For the version of myself who'd believed in us, who'd planned a future that would never exist, who'd been happy in her ignorance. That girl died the day I walked into Melissa's apartment. I mourned her. I mourned the wedding I'd never have, the dress I'd never wear, the dance with my father that would never happen, the honeymoon we'd never take.